Hey guys, DSmooth753 here, back at it with another video. Today I want to talk about power levels again. Now I already did another video about power levels in the past and how they are important for storytelling. But now I want to talk about the dark side of power levels, the over-reliance of them in anime. In anime, you always see characters talk about how they want to be the strongest, or I need to get stronger so I can defeat this bad guy in relation to fighting. In real life, size and strength aren't that big of a deal. Yes, it matters. Yes, it's a factor. I'm not denying it, but it's not that big of a deal. Fighting is a science. There's many factors to it. All studies show the most important thing in a fight is skill. We see this both in MMA fights and even in Animal Kingdom. You know, small honey badgers are known for defeating lions, for KOing buffalo. Why? Because they're such skilled, incredible good fighters. You know, small leopards are able to defeat giant gorillas. We all know how big and strong gorillas are. Leopards kill them on a regular basis. Why? Because leopards are good fighters. They also have fangs, teeth. Real fighting comes down to what you know, what you can do, how good you are at doing it. And in fact, let's talk about UFC 1 iconic. Royce Gracie defeated many bigger, larger opponents with his ground style with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Entire martial arts exist to defeat bigger, stronger opponents. Judo relies on relying on your enemy's weight against them, using their own force against them. That's how real world fighting works. It comes down to what you know, how good you are at doing things. You know, Mike Tyson is actually 4 inches shorter than the average heavyweight. He was actually smaller than most of the other heavyweights, yet he still kept winning because he was a skilled fighter. It wasn't just power. He was legitimately good at what he did. That real fighting comes down to mostly skill, which is why anime tends to anger me so much. Oh, and let me just say this. Strength does not equal durability. In the real world, this this the bigger and strong you are, the more that same force can be used against you. You know, a horse can break its own leg just by falling over. Big, large animals, I'm talking like the big, like giraffes, they can severely break their leg just if they fall over. Like in the real world, there are disadvantages to being big and strong too. That's not addressed in anime. Which brings me to how strength is portrayed in anime and anime fights over rely on strength. A perfect example of this is in Bleach. When Soifon, you know, the girl with the poison, attacks Aizen, the double tap Aizen with the poison thing. But it doesn't work because I am too powerful. Your poison won't work on me. I'm like, what? It's poison. What do you mean you're too powerful? It's freaking poison. We all know how poison works. It gets in your system and clogs up the arteries. Your strength shouldn't matter, regardless of your reishi. That just came across as stupid to me. It'd be different if he just said, "Oh, I have immunity," or "I have a cure." Aizen's smart. That would have made more sense. And another example of how the power thing makes no sense in anime is Kenpachi. Kenpachi is shown to be this amazing powerhouse, but he's never shown to have any other abilities besides that. He's never shown to be a combat strategist. He's never shown to be a combat genius. In fact, the guy, he doesn't even know any Kitos things. In the Aranko arc, his secret weapon was holding his sword with 2 hands. That was his secret weapon. This dude, he's not really a combat genius. I find it hard to believe that Kenpachi would have ever made it as a captain, regardless of his power. Like, you have a guy who's overwhelming strength, that's it, nothing else. This guy would not be a captain. He'd be more of a guard guy. You know, like that giant dude who guards the gate in Bleach? That's what Kenpachi should have been. He shouldn't have been a captain with that skill set. No way, because people figure you out. Like, if Ichigo knew Judo, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or any of those things, he would have beaten Kenpachi in an instant. It would have been over. It's like this over reliance on strength when strength in real life isn't that big of a deal. And another example of this, the anime that started it all, Dragon Ball Z. In Dragon Ball, the character is said to be master martial artist. Yet everything just comes down to power, power, power. If Goku is such a skilled martial artist, why doesn't he use more tactics? Rarely. There's only a handful of occasions where he's ever done that in Z and onward. In the original Dragon Ball, he did a lot more, but in Z, there's only a handful of times where he actually used strategy on an opponent. That one time when he fought Frieza with the Kamehameha thing, the that one time against Cell when Cell split himself in half and he knocked them all together, or when he instant transmission Kamehameha Cell. And then the only other time I can think of when Goku used strategy is in the fight with not hit with Jiren when he did when they were fighting and Jiren almost fell off the ledge. I'll show an image of it. That's the only time I can remember Goku actually using strategy in a fight. And this anime has this obsession with power levels. When in reality, power levels wouldn't be that big of a deal. Instead of focusing on who's the stronger, they'd be focused on who's the better fighter. Now, thankfully, there are some animes that do this better by having their strength be more hacks related. Having good hacks would be more desirable than raw power, realistically. For example, and I can't remember that guy's name, Gojo in Jujutsu Kaisen. That hack ability where nothing can touch him, he can create an infinite space between him and his opponent. That's an amazing hack. That's an amazing hack. And other things like this, when it comes to stuff like regeneration and teleportation and all these wide, crazy abilities, that would be more desirable than just Dragon Ball blow everything up. Now, I'll admit, Dragon Ball, they all have the same powers, but they have more implications of it. I'll give them credit there. But in general, realistically, things mostly come down to skill. And I'm so tired of in anime when everything just comes down to power, 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 and not let's actually use our brains and outsmart the enemy. But here's an example. Remember when Goku was fighting Frieza on Namek? Goku went Super Saiyan and was just beating the crap out of Frieza. Here's what I would have done if I was Frieza. Just fly into space. We already know Frieza can survive in space. So he could have just flown into space where Goku couldn't catch him and just chill out in space as the planet explodes. And then Goku would have died. Oh, Frieza's too prideful to do that. Well, he's not too prideful to try to blow up the planet just because he couldn't kill Goku. Why didn't Frieza just think of that? Why didn't Cell try to absorb Gohan? Why didn't Cell try to absorb Gohan? I mean, even Majin Buu tried to absorb Vegito. Why didn't when you stop and think about what's actually going on, there's plenty of times in anime where I think of a way you could do this to defeat the villain. Nah, let's just power, power, power. Which is lazy writing. In the real world, power isn't that big of a deal. In anime, power is absolutely everything. You are nothing without power. Can't you just outsmart somebody for once? Can't you just outsmart somebody for once? I can't be the only one who feels like this. Like and subscribe, leave in the comments. I know there's plenty of you who have been through this. Just, why didn't they just do this to beat the villain? Like, subscribe, guys. See ya.